So, on certain sections of the GMAT, you're not allowed to use a calculator. On the math portion specifically, that is composed of just multiple choice questions, A, B, C, D, E, you're not allowed to use a calculator. So, let's get that thing out of here. So, if we're not allowed to use a calculator, how do we add? You could use mental math, but mental math is prone to mistakes and not everybody's good at it. Maybe we'll have some videos on mental math, but ideally, what you want to do is go back to elementary school and junior high school. This might be a reminder, or this might just be something you already know, or maybe you're learning for the first time ever. So, how do we add on paper? So, the first thing is, let's look at this example. We have 3,754 plus 124. We want to organize everything so that the numbers line up. Specifically, the unit digit, which is all the way on the right, lines up with the unit digit of the other number. The tens digits line up, the 100 digits line up, et cetera, et cetera. You want to line up the digits, okay? So keep that in mind. So, and you want to start from the very right-hand side. So if we start with the 4 and the 4, what is 4 plus 4? That is 8. We're then going to shift over 1 into the tens digit place. What is 5 plus 2? That is 7. We're just going to repeat this process. We're going to shift over to the left. What is 7 plus 1? That is 8. And then finally, we're going to finish this up. What is 3 plus 0? Imagine there's a 0 there below it. That is 3. Now, this is the easiest version of adding on paper because notice none of these sums was greater than 9. Because the problem is when it's greater than 9, say 10, 11, 12, 13, you can't put two numbers down there. So what exactly do you do? So again, this is the easiest example. Let's look at a harder example where sometimes the numbers add up to greater than 9. So here's the example. 5,865 plus 537. Again, line everything up so that the digits match up. What is 5 plus 7? Of course, that is 12. But remember, you're not allowed to have two numbers down here. You just have to keep the 2, the unit digit. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the 1 above to the top of the second column. And now we're not just doing 6 plus 3, we're doing 6 plus 3 plus 1, which of course is 10. And then again, we cannot have two numbers down here, two digits. So we're going to move the 1 to the third column. And then we have 1 plus 8 plus 5, which is 14. Again, we cannot have two of these digits. So we have to move the 1 up right there. And then what is 5 plus 1 plus 0? Imagine there's a 0 there. Of course, that is 6. Now, there is one exception. If the very last column ends up adding up to more than 9, say 10, 11, 12, whatever, in that case, you can have both digits because there's nowhere else to go. We're not moving to the left anymore. So if you move all the way to the extreme left and you have two digits, you can leave it there. Let's look at another example where we're dealing with decimal points. So here's another example dealing with decimal points. So again, we want to line everything up. And when we say line everything up, we don't mean the rightmost number lines up with the rightmost number. We need the unit digit to match up with the unit digit. Or even easier, we need the decimal to match up with the decimal. So it looks like this. As you can see, the decimal matches up. In fact, you can even, once you do this, you can even bring in two extra zeros like that to kind of give a placeholder so it doesn't look so funky. And then finally, you want to line up the decimal even in your answer choice. So look all the way down this column, you see 3 decimal places like that. And then we just do the process. What is 4 plus 0? That's 4. What is 6 plus 0? That is 6. What is 7 plus 3? That is 10. But remember, we can't put 10 there. We're just going to put the 0 and we're going to put the 1 on top of the other column to the left. So like that. So now we're doing 1 plus 3 plus 1, which of course is 5. In this case, that's only one digit, so we don't have to carry the 1. It's called carry the 1, by the way. Move to the left. What is 3 plus 1? That is 4. And then finally, what is 3 plus 0? Imagine there's a 0 above it. Obviously, that is 3. So the key with addition is to add everything in a way where you have to carry the 1 if possible, or if you have to. If you add up a column and it results in a 10 or 11 or 12, anything up to 18, 18 is the maximum because 9 plus 9 is 18, right? Anything up to 18, you have to carry the 1. However, if when you're adding up a column, it is 9 or lower, in that case, there's no 1 to carry. The final thing to keep in mind is you want to make sure the unit digits line up with the unit digits, the 10 digit lines up with the 10 digits, or if you want to keep things very simple, you want to make sure the decimals line up with the decimals. So that's adding on paper.